Peace, family. Welcome to another episode of Broken Theory. Today we got the homie ELLIE RIZOA. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
How you living?
I'm living it day by day. How about you?
That's the way to go. You know what I mean? Day by day.
Yep.
I wanted to talk to you about your creative process and how you first started on this journey of making music.
Okay. All right. I started during the pandemic. I think that's when a lot of people started.
2020?
Hell yeah. Yes. I decided to make an account.
Okay.
And then I started, following a few people, and I got inspired, and I slowly got into it. But for the most part, I was just a fan. If that makes sense. So I was just a fan for a while, and then I decided to dabble a little bit on my own, and here I am now.
That's what's up. So you were kind of like lurking in the shadows, and like what kind of pushed you to like take the initiative and purchase gear or make that first step?
I guess it was connecting with other people. I was very interested in the samples some people use, because I was like, oh, that sounds familiar. And I know that, based on what I do on the side, like say if I'm humming a tune, I'm always into music regardless. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. And then I started posting a few things on SoundCloud, and then I slowly just started, I guess, becoming more brave and getting more into it.
Okay, that's what's up. What was your first purchase?
My first purchase was my Arturia Keylab 49 keys.
And how much was that?
I want to say it was one something. I'm not really sure how much it was, but it was around that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's all you needed to start?
Yes. Well, I guess you could say, MIDI wise. I started with Ableton and I ended with Ableton. Okay. Ableton is my main usage right there.
See, when I first started in 2017, there was no tutorials for Ableton. So it was like kind of like this big intimidating thing that nobody really wanted to pick up because nobody knew how to use it, but everybody knew that it was like top tier quality, you know what I mean, as far as like as a DAW. But I'm really glad to hear more and more that everybody's using Ableton, because I mean that's what Kanye works on, that's what Travis Scott works on, you know what I mean. So many
people. Definitely speaks to me. Like compared to I've dabbled with other DAWs, and as much as I can understand the appeal with all of them, but Ableton, I feel like, speaks my language, if that makes sense. It's hard to explain, but
I get it. Because I use FL, and I have the Machine Plus, and I have yet to use it because I'm just so comfortable with my workflow.
Yeah, right. I
use it as a MIDI controller and not as a standalone because I'm like, I could just do this in FL so much faster. You know what I mean? So it's like
they give you the option. It's hard not to use it.
But at the same time, it's like a catch-22 because like depending on the gear that you're using, your approach is going to be different. You know what I'm saying? Like at the same time, like what I'm learning now in my artistry is that like the old gear, the analog gear and stuff like that, those limitations that you have in those actually make you create something completely different than what you would have created with that one same sample. Because you have to think outside of the box in order to do certain stuff, make certain shit happen, add certain effects, you know what I mean? Like it was a different ball game, so 100%. What would you say?
That's how different genres are made too.
Yep. It's like mixing everything up, one melting pot,
Yep.
Who would you say inspired you musically?
I guess on a professional level, like my favorite artist is J. Cole. It's always been. I was a fan since Forest Hills, and his approach with things is very, I guess, authentic, is real. Like, I like the fact that he does things, in my opinion, without feeling the need to impress. And I feel like we kind of live in an era, I guess, especially when it comes to social media, it's very easy to fall into the trap of like, oh, I gotta step up my game. Look at this person. Like, J. Cole doesn't care. He just does what he feels, and that's it. And that has always been like my approach in life in general. I grew up on Long Island.
That's where I was born.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
I was born in Elmont.
Oh, okay. That's I'm Team Suffolk. But okay. No, that's cool though. But okay, so you would know I guess you could say the demographic is.
Oh yeah, very different.
Yes. So I felt like growing up, I had the need to assimilate, only because of the fact that was the only way to get by. But after a while, assimilating versus who I am, like really, it started to clash very, very badly.
It will every time.
Hell yeah.
It may not be right now. It may not be right now, but eventually it will catch up to you.
It definitely did. And I got tired of it. So at least, music was able to let me be who I am. Like behind closed doors, that's me. That's 100% me, and that's what I want to put out to the I guess the music world. Like me.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, it's all like, honestly, J. Cole has his situation the way it is now because like he recognized he didn't want to be playing this game. You know what I mean? Like the popularity contest stuff. Like he put himself in position to where after he gave his albums to the record label, you know what I mean? He could do whatever the hell he wanted to. And I think it's very important as an artist, you know what I mean? To make sure you're straight financially first before you start trying to really like make it quote unquote with music. You know what I mean? Like if you're not financially there, you should be focusing more on like getting good versus like trying to make money with your craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, you gotta definitely, fill in the gaps before you try to jump. Otherwise you'll fall hard, very hard.
100%.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we got J. Cole. Who else are some other people that inspired you? It could be music producers too.
All right, music producers. I would say, Alan the Alchemist. He's definitely a top favorite of mine for production-wise. I guess you could say in the independent world, there's a producer called 1-2. He definitely inspired a lot of the stuff that I make. And the late producer, Nujabes.
Okay.
Who
I just heard about him. He worked with MF Doom, right?
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I literally
and Dilla
just started looking.
Yes, like he, I think, is what, in my eyes, he was one of the founders of what lo-fi is today. Like, if he wasn't so daring to mix different types of music together along with hip-hop, like, there's people like, I feel like they misunderstand or they underestimate like what a beat could do. Like, you can switch, like, I guess you could say, like, you have the perfect drums. You can create any genre in the world with just those kind of drums. And what Nujabes did was he mixed, soul with hip hop and just classic, all mixed up into one, and it just flowed. And he made it his identity. Like that's what I think inspired me to be like, all right, if this guy could do what he do, like do what he does, what's stopping me? What is stopping me? So,
it's literally just starting most of the time. I feel like, you know what I mean? Us as humans, we gotta be like, oh, it's gotta be like this, or like, we got to be out doing other people or in competition with other people. But like, you know, if you're doing it God's way, you just got to start. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
get your feet wet. You know what I mean? And then from there, you know, you just work with what you got and build up.
Exactly.
But like, if your feet wet, you could actually see more or less from experience how things are versus like trying to estimate and guess what the situation could possibly be, or like, if I put this out like this, they're not gonna like it. You never know what they're like. You know what I'm saying?
That's true, man. Like that's a philosophy I'm slowly starting to understand. Like me, like I've always grew up with like really bad anxiety, and I've always tried to plan ahead. Always, my move was always planned. My next move was always planned. But sometimes life doesn't work like that. Sometimes you have to walk. It
never works like that. When you make plans, God laughs.
yeah, I'm starting to see that. Like I like it's crazy how life works out. It definitely does. Like
but it's all for the better though, always.
Yes. For sure. It's just the flight or flight, the cortisol that's raised every time something bad happens, and you have to kind of battle that versus understanding how life actually works and what your brain wants you to do. It sometimes there's a conflict.
There is, but it takes the consciousness of knowing that and the awareness of knowing that, like you said, and like taking the time for yourself to slow it down. I'm just now seeing that. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to do that on the daily helps tremendously.
You're definitely right on that. You're definitely right. That's cool, though. Like it's not cool in the moment.
No, I mean,
cool
taking care of yourself is
afterward.
a good thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you always got to make sure you get that time for yourself.
I agree.
100%. What would you say is your biggest investment in music so far?
Biggest investments. Do you mean like project wise, or do you mean musically?
I mean, maybe like financially. What have you like maybe spent the most money on?
Oh God. I guess you could say like, not gonna lie, because I was working my numbers and all that stuff. Like the stuff I pay for subscriptions in general. Like I'm talking about Spotify, Apple Music. When it comes to SoundCloud, when it comes to things like those, eventually they really add up. Yeah. I honestly think
every
like
month.
Just trying to get in touch with everyone's music, because I know that a lot of my producer friends, they post in different platforms, and sometimes I don't have the subscription for those platforms, and I'm like, so sometimes I would have to dabble, but it adds up. So I would say the subscriptions themselves can get very, very pricey if you think of the month that you're paying on a regular basis. But I would honestly say it was overall, like financially, I didn't really pay a lot. I honestly think that the subscriptions and Ableton were my two most expensive purchases.
Nah, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Because there's like, I have a family, so when it comes to the things that I have with music, like
it's all on the side.
Yes, that is my passion, but that is not my number one priority. My kid is. So that's where all my money's going to. Yep,
absolutely. I get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
As an artist, how do you feel like you started to find your sound? Like how did you start to kind of notice like this is where I want to go with it?
Truthfully, it was this year. Like I would release certain songs, and I guess it was like back in 2020. A lot of it was very experimental, and I was just going with what other people were doing at the time, because again, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was just trying to formulate. But it wasn't until this year.
When you say that you were doing what other people doing, like, can you give like an example So like, you know, everybody that's listening could kind of understand, and like they may be doing it too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like, you know how like, for example, right now, trap is very popular. The trap beats in particular are very, very popular to me with the I guess you could say I don't know what the name of it is, but it's the chain sound. It's hard to yes.
The industry, yeah.
Yes. It's copying, and I guess using purchasing kits that other people I guess made. It just sounds like everyone else, but that's what I was using to make my sounds. And after a while, it just started to get like a little mundane, because once you're working with the same kits over and over again, you're like, okay, all right, let's do something.
Got like 5 of these kicks, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, going through a whole bunch of snares, and I'm like, all 5 sound the same. What the hell?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
But so I think it was just me imitating what those sounds are. Oh, and also very popular was like it was kind of I guess you could say it was house music, but like Jax Jones type of house music. That was very popular in the 2020, and I was imitating a lot of that.
Okay.
Again, it was just for me to get used to the buttons, used to the sounds, used to the mechanism of Ableton and how just everything works. And then eventually I started to get to my own groove of things once I started sampling. And with sampling, I love sampling because it's not really like you're creating, you're more you're like a composer. You're
orchestrating everything.
Yes, you're taking certain sections and putting it in different spots. And to see that it could sound just as beautiful as the original is like, what?
Sometimes even better.
Hell yeah.
Just like the same loop over and over and over sounds better than a song of like different shit. And it's like crazy because it's so simple. You know what I mean? But it just shows that music is subjective for real, because like what you may deem simplicity, somebody may seem like it may be something like perfect for them. You know what I mean? It's not too much, not too little. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That balance. But sometimes it's too much, and then like nobody could even do their thing on it. So it's like, you know, as a producer, you kind of gotta understand. I mean, what sells should maybe show you the way, as far as like pathway, like, okay, these people like it when it's structured like this, like the hook in the front or whatever. You know, you got to pay attention to like how people react to your stuff. But I mean, you definitely could figure out your sound with that.
For sure. It's like it's like when you give a kid, like say if you give him a kid like a toy that you know how to play with, right? But this is the first time experiencing it. I'm just imagining my son. My son is 10 months old, right? You give him something that like say if it was a keyboard, right? This is the first time he's like looking at it, but then he starts playing with it in a different way that no one ever like thinks about playing with it, because he doesn't know that you're supposed to press the buttons in order for it to play. But it's cool to see that like they could still be entertained in that way.
But I look at it like, if we're scared to put our stuff out there and document that stuff, we won't ever have that there for us to just enjoy from a different space of life. Same way, like as you kind of just explained, you know what I mean? Just from a place of like higher consciousness, because you know what that does, but you know, a baby doesn't know what it does. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm gonna just do what I do. And that's the beautiful thing about music, because like, as long as you're doing what you do, it really doesn't matter. There's no rules. Like there's no music police that's gonna come after you and be like, "Hey, you didn't use music theory. You're wrong. You want all of
and
our
if they
money
do,
back,
it's
all
like,
the
all right, well,
awards."
that's your prerogative. Like that's fine.
I mean, there are people out there that's like, you know what I mean, on some shit to where like they're
Always.
trolls, and you know they want to attack you because you didn't do something their way or classically or whatever. But I mean, those people don't have nothing better to do with their life. You know, we out here.
I mean, years ago we used to ride with horse and buggy. Now we drive a car. Like it's things change, times change, things change, and yes, we're progressing. It's progression. Like, do I admire the people that make music from scratch? Like when it comes to like musicians and all that stuff. Of course, like that's amazing.
But it's so time consuming, yo. It really
definitely is. It definitely is.
There's nothing better than when like you can do it yourself and like you sit there for like 3 hours or whatever it takes to like completely orchestrate it. But like, you know, somebody that doesn't really have time, samples is your perfect way to go.
It definitely is.
Quick and easy.
My time is super limited. It's always
mine
limited.
too. I might get 10 minutes to create throughout the day. You know what I'm saying?
That's where I am too.
Just busy doing the other stuff.
Exactly. And it is what it is. You know? If, you know, the time comes and I do have the ability and the finances to like, you know, find the time to create things from scratch and you know, make my own music like that, I would do it in a heartbeat. But that's not the reality right now. So I'm gonna make what I can do, and that's it.
You gotta work with the best that you got.
Yep.
How do you decide when a piece of music is ready to be shared with the world?
It's a gut feeling. It's a gut feeling. I honestly think that, like, there are some times where I would share it as a story, and I'll be like, I think this is kind of cool. Like, what do you guys think? Like, I like public opinions because, you know, I'm not the only one who likes this kind of stuff. You know, I know that other people like to add their opinions and critiques on it too. So that's one way. But like, for example, the songs that I have on my EP that's releasing today, like that came from just pure emotion. The things that I emotionally connected with, all the samples I emotionally connected with, I was like, yup, this is going to be in there. And that was it. Like, I have the tendency to overthink everything. But this time I was like, no, like this was set. This was good. This is good. So once I heard it and once I mastered it and once I mixed it, I was like, done, release. Otherwise, I would be standing there staring at my screen for hours and hours and hours.
That's good. You got to know when to say when as a musician, man. Otherwise, every day you're going to sit there mixing the same song, hearing something different. Oh, I got to tweak it. It's not finished. It's not finished. You got to just give it up. Like, at some point, it's done.
Yes. That's it really is time consuming. If you think about the amount of hours, like, just
mixing and mastered and everything.
Yes.
Like, you sit there for an hour listening to the same sounds. Like,
just trying to say, like, this is like my third cup of coffee already. Like, this is.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. We're like mad scientists.
Yeah, that's the life.
Good, man. It's all good. I wouldn't have it no other way.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you ever experience creative blocks? And
all the time.
What do you do to kind of get out of that?
I have to walk away from my entire, like, you know, music desk where I have my MIDI and my laptop. I have to walk away for a while. Otherwise, like, I feel like when you force creativity, you get, you know, SHIT. I don't know if I can curse, but like,
you can curse.
You get shitty products when
my
you
platform.
Force it.
God damn it, you can curse on this bitch.
No, but that's what it is. I feel like for me at least, I have to walk away for a little bit. I have to.
No, I definitely feel that. You got to live life and then come back to it.
For sure. Because, you know, and I think when it comes with creative blocks comes the frustration with it, and the feeling of frustration. It's not going to go away unless you know.
You also get ear fatigue, like after a while of hearing the same sound over and over and over, like you're not gonna be able to hear it clearly as you would like, you gave it a day break and then came back to it, first thing you would notice is like, this needs to be turned down. Like you,
Yes.
100%, you would guarantee like pick something out the mix after you sat there for 6 hours that day and got it so-called perfect. You know what I mean? So like,
exactly.
perfect is an illusion. You know what I mean?
Really?
What you would call perfect, I wouldn't. What I would call perfect, you wouldn't. You know what I mean? So it's like, why
Which
even
is another
bother?
reason. Yes, it's another reason why you gotta trust your intuition, because you're not. It's honestly, and I keep bringing it up. It's like parenting.
Yeah.
Like everyone parents their kids differently. Like how I'm going to raise my kid is not how the family next door is raising their kid, and there's really like there's a spectrum of what's the right way, what's the wrong way. You have some breathing room, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
How did you get your name?
ELLIE RIZOA is a play of words with my government name, which is Elizabeth Figueroa.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
So all I did was take a few letters and mix them together, and there you go. It wasn't.
I thought that was the government, so that's pretty cool. It's really creative when you think about it.
Thank you. I didn't really. It was. I knew that if I didn't have a name, I don't know. I felt like, obviously I like my government name, obviously, but I wanted that to be separate from my music name.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure, because I felt
it's
like
crazy out here, man.
yeah, no, and not only that, like musically speaking, like I was still trying to figure out who I am musically versus who I am like in the real world. You know what I mean? Those are two different people.
Yeah.
So it was good for me to kind of keep it separate, because I felt like when it came to progress, I was on two different levels.
I dig it.
Yeah.
What's some advice that you would tell your younger self when you're first starting out?
Ooh, what would I tell my younger self? I would honestly tell my younger self to trust her gut more instead of listening to what, I guess, like listening to what the other people want. That's important, but what you want is more important than when it comes to sound itself, I guess.
Yeah.
And especially putting yourself out there musically, it is a vulnerable experience.
Super vulnerable.
Yes. So I would tell my younger self to not be afraid. People are going to say what they want. People are going to think what they want. You have no control over that at all. So if you want to, and I guess I would, also let my younger self know how liberating it is to do that.
It is, because when you take that chance, like for instance, yesterday, I wasn't gonna post this one beat, and I was like, I don't know, it's not really like the style that people really like respond to me about. And sure enough, I posted it, and somebody messaged me talking about they need it right now. They want to buy it out in full, and I'm like, what the hell? Like,
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's like it's crazy. The universe responds back. You know what I mean? You may think
it definitely
you're
does,
being
and I
vulnerable.
just found this out now. I was talking to my therapist about this last week. I was like, if I knew that the universe does listen, but it doesn't tell you when, that was the problem. I thought that I had control over when things happen. So when things did not go as planned when I thought it would, I would just be like, so what's the point?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, but I didn't know that you have to just let life play its play its part. You have to just let it be. And then once it does, you'll understand why things played out the way that it did. And not the way that you originally wanted it to be. The way that you originally wanted it to be may have not been as great as it is now.
As long as you come from a place of gratitude, you know what I'm saying? Just like being thankful, and you know what I mean?
Sure.
Just like overall experience, you're gonna be all right every time. Every time.
I agree.
Because everything's gonna come from a position of love, and you're gonna make choices based off of that. You know what I mean? So, I definitely feel it. Has there been any books or movies or anything that like changed your life, heavily influenced you?
I would honestly say, see, I'm boring when it comes to like books and books and movies. The one that would always, I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Slumdog Millionaire.
Oh yeah.
That movie came out like in '08, I think, or around there. But that movie, you know how like the main character, he answers the questions on that show based on his past experiences and how he gets them right, like all of them right, because of the stuff that he went through. That movie will always stick to me, and especially I'm just thinking about it now. I'm like, okay, like the answers that I didn't have back then. I know the answers now. Why? Because I had to go through some bull to get there.
But you wouldn't have it no other way, would you?
No, I would not. No.
Because just that overall awareness, you know what I mean? That consciousness of like who you are today versus how naive and like, you know, like certain things just like went over your head before that, like were right in front of your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's everybody, but that wisdom you can't pay for.
No, you can't. You can't. That is crazy. That is crazy. That's what it is. Like knowledge versus wisdom, those are two very different things, and I know that now.
If the answers were in the book, they wouldn't read it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
No, absolutely. What sacrifices have you made to get where you are right
now? What sacrifices? Lack of sleep.
That's a good one.
Honestly, I went against the grain. I honestly, like, when it comes to the things that I wish I accomplished, like I went to college, I got my degree, and I got, you know, I have my bachelor's, but that's not the route that I'm going towards.
Yeah.
I'm going towards music, and I slowly see that now. Like I'm experiencing that part when I could have been I majored in psychology. I wanted to be a psychologist. Now I know that that's not the profession I want. Like ever. Like that's just way too much. I think. Yeah, I think that everything worked out the way that it did, and I'm glad it did, for sure.
Well, I'm happy for you. And it sounds like, you know, you're moving in a positive direction that is it's a good stride, you know what I mean? Like, you got your feet wet, you started, like, your stuff is dope. I really like the way that you chop up your chops, like the way that you do the DJ chops.
Thank you, I appreciate
like
that.
all of them hit. Usually, like when I hear people do that style, it's like I can find an imperfection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I find a lot of imperfections in mine too. But there are times where I'm just like, I'm gonna just post it anyway.
Well, I didn't have any when I listened to yours. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Nah, it was dope.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate this experience in general.
Nah, no problem. Is there anything else that you're working on, or anything coming in the near future? Something to look out for?
Well, by the time this airs, my EP will already have been out. But if you guys haven't heard it, it's Jaded Flores. It's in. You can find it on all platforms, and it's a 4-track EP, and it comes straight from my heart, for sure. And that's it.
How did you get that title of the project?
Jaded Loris. So the slow loris is a type of animal that it's the one with the big eyes. It's very known to be this like cute, cuddly looking thing, but if you get too close to it, if you try to harm it, it has this defense mechanism that can paralyze their I guess you could say the person that, well, I guess the creature that is attacking. So that's the lowest part. The jaded is where my heart was at that moment, because I was trying to protect myself while I was going through my bull. So it's kind of like me putting this happy persona, but meanwhile I was going through a lot of grief, a lot of drama, and that's where the jaded lures came from.
That's dope.
Yeah, so that's where it came from.
Can you tell me,
Finesse.
I guess you could say, the song on that project that means the most to you?
I would say it's called What You've Done, and it's a track that I dedicated to my son. It's very piano melody flowy type of thing, and it kind of just represents like when he was born and my whole pregnancy. I was going through a whole bunch of stuff, but I came out better because of him. So that's where that song by far would probably be my most cherished, but all of them mean something to me.
For sure. I can't wait to hear the album. Definitely gonna stream it, share it. It's always dope when people like you drop projects. You know, you never know what you're gonna get, but with this project, you know, with you saying that it's near and dear to your heart, I already know what we're gonna get. It's gonna be a classic, you know what I mean? So I'm definitely excited to peep that.
Thank you.
But I want to appreciate you for coming through and, you know, saying what's up to the people, introducing yourself, telling your story.
Thank you.